What's something you stopped buying because it became just so expensive to have it anymore? Before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to the Vancher channel. Also, please share your thoughts on this video in the comments. Let's get started. Story 1. A strange one, but bowling. A few years ago, my girlfriend and I went bowling at a local Bolero, and it was maybe $60 for shoe rental and 2 hours of bowling for 2 people. Just recently, we checked prices online so we could go again, and the same rental and playing time is $150. Insanity. Edit to add, this is the only bowling alley left in this medium-sized city. It used to be an AMF bowling alley before Bolero. I looked around and the next closest one is in a small town an hour away, so not really viable for quick fun entertainment. And regarding Groupon deals, I checked the app and Bolero isn't running any deals there currently. I just checked to see what the pricing would be during peak time, and it's even more insane. $242 for 2 people, 1 lane for 2 hours, with 2 shoe rentals. They added an event fee, but it's in no way an event. I hear it's cheaper if you just show up, but for them to even have that listed is crazy. Answer. I coach high school bowling, and all of my athletes can't afford to practice on our non-scheduled days. I have fought with Bolero to give them practice cards that will give them X amount of games a week at a discounted price, like what I got when I was in HS. And they won't. Said it's not a smart financial decision, when in reality they are eliminate their business down the line, as these athletes will quit the sport and not get their family involved as they age. Bolero is eliminate local bowling alleys, and I am so sad and frustrated about it being a USBC coach for youth. Story 2. As of this month, streaming services. Between the cost of all of them and amount of ads we still have to watch, it's a no-go. We've had enough of it. We got a VPN and we'll be returning to the high seas. Story 3. Airbnb. With all the added fees, especially cleaning fees, it's cheaper to stay in a hotel. I'm not paying a $300 cleaning fee when I'm the one cleaning. Story 4. Ordering pizza. I'll still order for pickup sometimes if there is a good deal, but no more just picking up the phone and randomly ordering one. Answer Jesus. I rarely order pizza because in my town it is just all your typical mediocre chains. Anyways, decided to go with Pizza Hut because I have a soft spot for their personal pan pizzas and I like their wings. 12 wings were $18.99. Personal pan was approx. $7. Total after delivery fee and tax is and some change. I noped the fudge out, checked at Papa John's, and same thing. When did pizza get to be such a scam? Story 5. New clothes. I tried to downgrade from mall to Amazon, but that stuff is mostly trash. I thrift now. It's not as bad as I anticipated. A lot of stuff is discarded with tags. I even ran into a sweater that I wanted years ago. Answer. Thrifting is 100 the way to go. We started pretty much exclusively buying from thrift stores and have found many excellent articles of clothing, many designer with tags attached. People don't want to deal with selling things nowadays, so folks throw it in the donation bins. Only thing is it takes patience. I've found it's better to thrift when you're not looking for anything in particular. If you go in with the sole intention of shopping for one item, you may come out disappointed one visit, but find it the next time when it's not even front of mind. Shopping on off seasons also helps, even for thrifting. Snagged a 15 brand new down jacket with tags that retails for $150 in July. Story 6. We really just quit eating out pretty much altogether. It seems like more often than not, the quality service isn't worth the cost. I know cooking at home isn't always the most convenient thing to do, but it is healthier and more cost-effective for us. Story 7. Soda. I choose not to buy it. Used to buy cases from Sam's or Costco when it was in the realm of 10 a case of 36. Less at 12. Have not bought soda in cans since the pandemic made them hit about 17 a case here in Texas. Answer. I used to buy 12 packs. Now I buy 2 liters. And I have started supplementing with iced tea and Kool-Aid to reduce the soda costs. ETA. Yes, folks, we also drink lots of water. I never said that this was all we drank. We drink diet sodas and I use a generic Splenda for the tea and Kool-Aid. So no worries on our sugar intake. Thank you for your concerns. Story 8. Eating out. Not worth the price and food quality is not there anymore. And smaller portions for higher prices. Answer. My husband and I had breakfast dates starting from when our kids were teens and slept in. They're in their 30s now. We've stopped going in the past year because ever since COVID, the experience is not worth the cost anymore. Went to Denny's, our usual place, recently for the first time in months. It was $3.59 for a cup of coffee. I can get a whole container of coffee grounds for that. Just really ruins the experience. And the deals are the same price as what the regular meals used to be. Now they're $6 to $8. Story 9. As I was reading through all the comments, it occurred to me that something or someone has really shoot-wrecked the county. food, entertainment, necessities have all gone to shoot. The quality of the products and the quality of the service are screams that something is broken. Answer: necessities have all gone to shoot. I had to buy TP today. Usually need to stock up once a month. WTF happened to TP pricing in the last 30 days? Even the super generic one-ply BW labeled was over 1 per roll. They are selling individual rolls now for 1.50. WTF is even going on. The stuff I used to get for like 9 is now 14, and I swear it is not the same number of rolls either. I have never seen the mega store pack of TP priced at 25 unless it was at Costco or Sam's and part of a true mega pack that required a back brace to lift. Story 10. Getting my nails done. I remember going with my sister and getting a manicure or pedicure for around $25-30. So maybe $35 or $40 after tip and taxes. My last nail visit cost nearly $100 after tip and everything, just for a manicure. That was over a year ago, and I haven't gone anywhere since. Especially when you can get glue on nails that look fairly nice for $6 and don't tear up your nails when they come off. I don't know how other women are affording salon visits these days. Answer: I've been a barista at Starbucks for 4 years on, left for a year in 2021, and came back last year. We aren't allowed nails, so I didn't get acrylics for those first 4 years. I was shook when I left the company and saw that my $40 gel acrylics were priced at $85 now. I immediately bought a gel kit and started doing my own at home. And now that I'm a barista again, I just do my own gel pedicures. 100 in supplies 2 years ago, and I'm still getting great pedicures every 23 weeks and did over a year of gel tip manicures without running out of anything. My biggest cost has been acetone for removal at like $2 a bottle. Love my old salon, but I value my finances more. Story 11. I have almost completely stopped going to fast food casual restaurants. When takeout is 20 for 1 or 40 for 2, it just doesn't feel right. Fast food is supposed to be quick, simple, grab and go. It's not an affordability issue. In other areas of life, I am cautious about purchases at these price points because I want to limit accumulation and just buying stuff on a whim. Should I buy that video game? Should I buy that decoration for the house? Should I buy that shirt? The extra $5.10 for fast food makes it compete with other purchases in my mind. Going out to Chipotle with the SO is now close to buying Spider-Man 2 or a new shirt, and Chipotle quality has gone down. It does not feel worth it anymore. Answer: we went out last night with another couple. They took us to a little Chinese cafeteria type place. Kind of like Panda, but better. The portions were huge. We each got a 2 entree meal with fried rice and noodles. One of us had water, one had soda. It was $21. I can't remember the last time we ate anything anywhere for $21 and had enough leftovers for a full lunch. Story 12. Blonde Bailage, $500 a pop, $350. Touch-ups insane. How much hair salons have increased prices in the last 5-10 years? Story 13. Food delivery, the fees jack up the price too much for my liking. If I do order food, which I also am doing less, I pick it up. Story 14. Cigarettes, they are getting more expensive by the year. And although the price wasn't the main reason, it was one of the reasons I decided to quit smoking. Hitting my 4th smoke-free year in March. Story 15. A constantly updated gaming PC, like maybe all new parts every 2 years. Now it's just until something breaks or won't run a game I like. Answer: seriously, I built my current desktop in 2020 just before prices got crazy. My OS hard drive is starting to fail, and I'm wondering if it's worth upgrading anything else. Edit. Typo edit 2. The drive in replacing is an NVMe 2, an early one, which is why it's dying. The only other thing I might consider is upgrading to Ryzen 7 5800X 3D. I currently have a Ryzen 5 3600X. I'll keep my NVIDIA 1660 Super until it dies. Story 16. Ski lift tickets. I live in the Canadian Rockies, and so my favorite thing to do in the winter is snowboard. Only went once last year and might not even go this year. I'm actually so upset. Story 17. Uber has gotten prohibitively expensive in my town. Based on my travels, it seems much cheaper in other locales. I stopped going out to bars because of it. Uber adds $200 to a night out that I would rather spend elsewhere. Story 18. Medication. My chronic illness requires an infusion 10,000 copay every 7 weeks. My yearly income is 60,000. In America, it is much cheaper to die. I can get a lovely funeral for a one-time fee of 10,000 pounds. Answer: have you inquired with the manufacturer about a patient access program? When I was an infusion pharmacist at a county hospital, we frequently had these high-cost medications sent patient-specific for free from the manufacturer as part of their access programs. They generally try to target insurance companies with the high price tags and offer better assistance to patients who don't have good insurance coverage or who still have really high copays. Google substance name patient assistance program or copay assistance program and see if there are any options for you. If it's made by a big pharma company like Genentech, Eli Lilly, Bristol Myers Squibb, Takeda, etc., they'll likely be able to help you. Story 19. Household repairs and yard work. When contractors started charging more per hour than experienced lawyers, I decided to hell with it. I can't justify spending $350 for 15 minutes worth of minor repair work or $50 per hour to trim hedges. I restrict repairs to things that must be fixed, such as plumbing. The biggest problem with repairs is that not only have prices tripled beyond what the work is worth, but that there's a high probability they'll do a poor job or create new problems that didn't exist. Answer. Got a furnace installed in summer. Started using in winter, worked for 2 weeks, then the fan stopped working. The furnace would overheat all the ductwork and shut down. The fan wouldn't come on. Guy comes back and says the fan works, and I say no. It's just convective heat of an extremely overheated furnace. He starts packing things up and the furnace shuts down again. And I ask him if he's overridden the thermostat and the furnace is left in on, shouldn't the furnace stay on and heat the house at least up to 70? And especially since it's only 60 right now? He says yes, and finally he decides to look at what's going on. He still insists it's not the fan, but he does something. Then the fan comes on and starts blowing air. We both know I was right all along. He continues doing whatever, finishes and leaves without any apology of, you were right all along, nor me doing a I told you so. There's no such thing as getting good help these days. And that's why people are charging $350 for 15 minutes work. Story 20. I stopped buying new gadgets and electronics every time there's an update. Initially, it was a fascination, but then I realized that technology changes too quickly and constant purchases become a burden on the wallet. Now, I try to make more mindful purchases and upgrade devices only when necessary. Story 21. Ordering food from Uber Eats, Grubhub, DoorDash, etc. The delivery fees, tip, heightened cost of food means I give up before completing an order due to sticker shock. Story 22. Fast food. I still eat out quite a bit, but I can get a really nice sandwich at a place like Jason's Deli or McAllister's for almost the same amount of money. Story 23. Cokes at restaurants or fast food. I was buying it occasionally at $2.49, but then it became $2.99, which is too much. My GF and I each got one a week ago at a new restaurant, and the Cokes were $3.99 each. Those are cocaine prices. Edit, these were fountain drinks. Story 24. Until iPhone 20 came out, I used to get the newest one each time. I haven't changed mine since 2018, and it's holding okay. It's just not worth it. Story 25. Changed nail salons. After years and years of nail biting and chewing, I finally stopped 10 months ago. A friend of mine opened her own nail business, so instead of $75 to get a basic gel polish and clean up, I pay $35. She also babysits my son with enough notice, so extra cash for her. Quit drinking 9.5 months ago. Cooking at home more especially because going to eat with a toddler can be a nightmare. We eat out maybe once a month. It takes a lot of mental energy to eat out with a toddler. Most days I don't have it in me. Exercise at home. I can lift weights, do cardio at home just as easily as I could at the gym. Hoping to get back to the climbing gym in a year or two when the little one is old enough. Story 26. Physical books. Much as I love them, I used to buy several every week and have hundreds. But Kindle is so much cheaper and no need to find more storage space. Story 27. I just need to say something here that is maybe not exactly answering this question, but I need to get it off my chest as I ran into it twice today. Not only is the price of everything doubling and tripling from pre-pandemic, but the quality and service of everything has taken a drastic cut. I went to McDonald's this morning and my basic jerk breakfast was $16. The quality was poor. I later went to Best Buy and there was a single 22-year-old kid checking out people in a line that was literally half the length of the store. The other employees were just fudge around, and there was 3 empty checkouts registers available. No one cares that standards are crumbling. Answer, you said it. I thought of this many times after realizing there really isn't much more for humans to venture out and do or even invent. Everything has already been done and seen, and we are all going to die anyway. So what's even the point except to raise our kids right and not drink and do substances and be cool to others and just breathe as much oxygen as we can until it is our turn. You ever been to a nursing home? How the hell are some of those people even still alive? My dad will be 88 in 2 days, and he said he's already sick of living. His parents both lived until 97, 98 years old, and chain smoked and drank whiskey every single day until they died. Story 28. Five Guys Burgers Fries. I ordered it one time through DoorDash. One burger, an order of fries, and a milkshake set me back almost $50. And the food honestly wasn't even that great. Never again. Story 29. This whole thread is an example of how the one get richer and the poor middle income keep getting scammed harder. 90 of people will keep buying though because convenience. Answer: the last sentence is the problem, as I see it. Every time a friend or family member complains about how much things cost, I remind them that we are to blame. If nobody bought concert tickets for $200, they would be cheaper. If people didn't line up to buy a pickup truck for $70K, they would be cheaper. If there wasn't always a line at the fast food drive-through window, they would lower prices. Sure, corporations are greedy and profit drive, but we have all known that for a very long time. Problem is, how do we get enough people to skip their daily Starbucks to make a difference? Story 30. Disney parks. The parks have been priced out of what even upper middle class can afford. Only the rich can go now. Story 31. This is very dependent in some cases, but owning pets. I cherish my animals, but a decent dog food went from 40 to now 75. The bags have gotten smaller, and the ingredients keep changing. One of my cats has IBS and needs a limited ingredient diet, so that means all 3 of my cats will have to be on the same food. It's about $50 a bag for that stuff too. Not to mention litter, cleaning products. Vet bills are insanely high without any special issues, flea and tick medicines. And of course, initial investment items like grooming tools, beds, and toys that will be replaced a few times throughout the animal's life. I enjoy taking my dog on hikes, but where I live, you have to drive 2 hours to get to a spot where there aren't homeless camps everywhere. No busy roads at every corner, or a ton of people just trying to get place to place. It takes a ton of time and gas, which is expensive on its own, just to take a nice walk when you're bored of the neighborhood. A mix of the expenses, as well as handling my dog's intense separation anxiety, has made me want to go down to only having a cat at most in the future, if any pet at all. It's just too much financially on top of having the proper space for pets anymore. Story 32. Hope is the hope that eliminate you. I feel much better now that I don't believe anything will get better, and I should simply enjoy those few things that are left to enjoy. For me, that is music. Story 33. I stopped taking one of my blood pressure meds. I stopped washing my hair every day. Downgraded on the shampoo, conditioner, body wash. Went from herbal essences and soft soap to Suave. I legit take birth control, the 90-day kind, to have fewer periods because sanitary products are expensive. I downgraded to store brand products. I stopped buying men's shaving cream, cheaper than women's, and stopped shaving my legs. I only use a small dermaplaning tool once a month. I stopped buying exfoliating cream. I stopped buying mouthwash. I stopped buying fast food. I stopped buying creamer and just use milk on the occasion I drink coffee. I could never afford coffee shop coffee. I buy the cheapest store brand coffee instead of the nice store brand coffee. I was already living with a tight belt before, but since then, I've stopped buying regular beef. Ground beef is a treat, and I get it with a higher fat content, so it's cheaper. I used to drink cheap beer on occasion. I stopped buying it altogether, downgraded on the toilet paper. I don't know what else I can stop buying or cut down on. I canceled Netflix years ago. I drive less than 5,000 miles a year. I use grocery bags as much as possible instead of regular trash bags, which means taking out the trash just about every day. I stopped buying high-quality food for my cat. Story 34. Cocktails at restaurants and bars. I still buy them occasionally when they seem special and hard to replicate at home, but so much cheaper to make them yourself. Story 35. Pre-workout shoot was so fucking cheap 6 years ago. Now everyone has a pre-workout, and it's inflated the cost to $75 for a good brand now. Story 36. Cigarettes. Best thing ever. I guarantee if smokes were $3-4 a pack, I never would have stopped. It's been 6 years since I had one. Story 37. I've cut back on so much in 2023. I don't go out to eat or order takeout anymore. Every meal is cooked at home. I do my own nails. I cut and dye my own hair. I groom my dog. I stay at home more often. 2024 is coming for streaming services. Definitely going to do a cleanup. Screw those greedy companies. Story 38. Sporting events. Not worth the cost of the ticket, parking, and food drink. I'd rather watch from my couch. Story 39. Haircut salons. I'm female with long hair. I probably look more feral than other women, but at least I can still afford food for the moment. Story 40. Tampons. I've recently tried the Diva Cup and so far so good. Less money in the long run and less chance of TSS or leaks. Plus it's more eco-friendly. Story 41. Cheese. The price of cheese went higher than me after an afternoon of smoking plant substance these past 2 years. Story 42. Honestly, Diet Coke and chips. $9.75 or so for a 12-pack. $6 to $8 for chips? I'll pass. I don't need it anyway. Story 43. Health insurance. I have not had health insurance since around 2016. I won't mention what the change was that caused me to no longer have insurance. But if you know, you know. It sucks because I have chronic health issues, but I just have to suffer. I think to myself all the time, well, hopefully soon I'll be able to pay to go to the doctor. But it never happens. I live in the U.S. for reference. Story 44. Chipotle. It used to be a weekly treat, but now 2 burritos and a soda are almost $40.50 for delivery. Also, quality of the food and portion size went down. Story 45. Fast food or eating out. It's almost doubled in price. The food is smaller. The staff taking my order can never understand what I say and mess up my order every time. Then I think about the person who actually made my food and how unhealthy it is, and it grosses me out. Story 46. Buying food that isn't an ingredient for a specific meal, including drinks. Now we have a cup of coffee in the morning and just water all day. It's a healthier way to eat, sure, but it sucks when you want a small glass of juice or a between-meal snack. We were never really fast food people, but we did enjoy a nice supper out every other weekend. We stopped date nights too. It went from 25-30 to 50-75. We could absorb 50-60 per month, but 150-200 became an issue real quick. Story 47. Brand new books. I read everything I want for free through my local library, usually through the Libby app. I went to buy a book as a white elephant gift the other day, and the hardcover was $30. And it wasn't some specialty book, it was a regular novel. I want to support authors as much as I can, but that's just too much for me. When I need to own a book now, I just get a used copy. Story 48. Oil changes. Seriously, the cost at even the quick lube places is getting insane. I suck at cars, and even I could learn how to do an oil change from YouTube. Story 49. Xbox Live. I was around when it first started and was $50 for a year. Now it's over $200 because they give you a bunch of stuff you don't even want. Video games in general have just gone downhill with the pay-to-play method. Story 50. I had to stop adult beverage. My husband had a massive stroke and was in hospital from Dec to Feb. I didn't cope well. I started drinking a lot and getting high whenever I could, which caused my tolerance to go up, so I had to keep drinking more and more. That got really expensive, and I had to stop. I think I was on the way to alcoholism. Story 51. I haven't stopped buying them, but I recently bought Gillette Fusion, or 5 blade razors, and holy crap, what is going on here? All I want is to shave, not give the equivalent of a gas tank fill up every time I need to buy those. Story 52. I don't do Instacart or DoorDash anymore. Even without a car, taking a round-trip Uber to pick stuff up myself is often cheaper than what those third-party fucksticks want for upcharges and fees. It sucks because I'm disabled, and some days I really don't have the energy to do it myself, but I can't justify the cost anymore. Story 53. Birthday or Christmas cards. 2 years ago, I went to buy Christmas and birthday cards for my whole family, and at the checkout, I was told it was $36 for 13 cards. I left them at the checkout and texted everyone that I'm not buying them a card this year because I can tell them to their face whatever I was going to write in the card. My daughter, 28, was upset, but the year after did the same. Now neither my family or my wife's family buy cards. I have a friend whose family don't buy gifts for adults. It's frustrating thinking of something to buy, and instead they all go out for a Christmas meal, meet up, and catch up, which is an idea I love. Story 54. Humothiam. Making that shoot homemade now. So easy and good. You just need a food processor and you're all set. Story 55. Buying groceries and making my own food. The time it takes plus the cost does not outweigh just ordering a large pizza. I'm single, so this may not apply to couples or families. Answer: I'm in the same boat and luckily have a Domino's less than a block away. Their 7.99 single-topping large pizzas will feed me for the day. I'm also lucky enough to have a Costco located about a mile away, so I'm also constantly buying their 5 rotisserie chickens. I love to cook and buy my own groceries, but the prices on even the most basic shoot spiraled during the pandemic. Story 56. American presidential elections. Used to be you could buy one for just a few $100 million to some super PACs, but now you have to have compromat on multiple Supreme Court judges. Story 57. Those mini squeaky Kong tennis balls for my dog. They went from 3 to 6 for a pack of 3 overnight and are now sitting at between 6 and 8 depending on the store. Absolutely absurd example of a company taking advantage of inflation maliciously. Story 58. Coffee from Starbucks and Dunkin'. I only buy it if I have a gift card or a reward to use. I just can't wrap my mind around buying a 7 latte when I can make one at home exactly as I like it. Story 59. Chicken wings, movie tickets, concert tickets. Chicken wings and theater tickets are bad enough. I won't even accept them for free from someone out of principle. I don't want to support 2 wings and 20 movie tickets under any circumstances. Netflix, but mainly cues they canceled my account for sharing. I saw how much an individual plan costs, realized Netflix sucks, and never signed back up. Haven't missed it for a second. Story 60. Expensive hair care. Yeah, it's nice to have a Lux products, but 30 for shampoo or body wash, 40 for hair mask. And it all just goes down the drain. And TBH, I switched back go all drugstore, and to my surprise, my hair was restored and looks so much better than all the years of exclusivity buying high-end soaps. I don't think I'll ever justify spending that much money on body care. It's fun and amazing to treat yourself if you can afford it. But my 40 SDJ lotion will be the last of that era when it's used up. Story 61. Reading this thread makes me think we've been going through a slow-motion economic collapse. It's not like we woke up one day and the world suddenly burned to the ground like in a movie, but slowly over the years, things slowly became unaffordable one by one. It's only getting worse and worse, and soon our quality of life will be so eroded that we'll be wishing for the good old days of 2023. What has been happening is really concerning, and I don't see the trend reversing. Story 62. Lamb cutlets, nice takeaway coffee from cafes, English muffins from the supermarket. I don't care what Kohl's says, 6 is not the price they've always been. Cinema snacks. Story 63. Takeout, trips, our annual passes to a major theme park, any delivery by Ike. I just now get myself to avoid tips and fees. We used to do grocery pickup, now I shop again. Anything fun, and we're taking out 2 monthly subscriptions, probably Apple and one of the other networks. Story 64. Movies, much better experience at home, better picture and sound, cleaner, cheaper, better food, quieter, and no a-holes ruining the experience. Story 65. Magazines. Wanted to buy a magazine a couple times recently and gasped at the 13 sales price. I wondered if I was that out of touch, so I went and compared pricing from 2003 to 2023. I was wanting a Taste of Home magazine and had one of their special issues from 2003 that was marked 3.99. The calculator I used showed that in $2023, the price would be 6.99. Story 66. I quit celebrating holidays and my birthdays. Just another money grab to suck cash out of poor people wallets. Story 67. I went to see Eagles, Fleetwood Mac, Loggins, and Messina, and Dan Fogelberg for under 20 a ticket. 070419776. Story 68. Craft beer in 2012 and 2014 was fun and cheap for what it was now. Craft beer is way more expensive in general. X200 Bushy B, nuanced conversation for sure thumb. Story 69. Well, at Chick-fil-A, a grilled chicken club sandwich combo is now almost 14 for a meal that doesn't even make you that full. Story 70. Fast food, delivery, going to places where you pay to get in, only to spend further money, certain brands of groceries. Story 71. Salon haircuts. I understand they need to make profit, but my haircuts went from $45, $50 total to $77 to $89. I can't afford that. Story 72. My allergy medicine used to be $8. Post-COVID, it's $50. The generic is cheaper, but it isn't effective. My poor sinuses will never be the same. Story 73. I quit cigarettes 15 years ago because they got too expensive. I have no idea how people afford them now. Holy God. Also, I can't afford lunch meat anymore. I delay getting my oil changed until the car starts making funny noises. And I don't buy books new anymore. Story 74. Honestly, a lot of things. A lot of snacks I used to enjoy doubled in price over the pandemic. I no longer buy crackers of any type. Chips are a once-a-month treat. I buy meat maybe once, twice a month now. We live off of noodles, instant potatoes, soup, and sandwiches mostly. I live with siblings, but even though we're working, we're still struggling. We have to use the local food pantry at least twice a month because food stamps were denied for no reason given, even though I had submitted everything on time and we're all well within the FPL. I don't have the time to go to court to fight it, so I have to completely reapply. I'm worried they'll do the same to my Medicaid, and if that happens, I'm practically fudge. I've been diagnosed with severe arthritis at 25, so I might need surgery. Story 75. Vinyl LPs, records. Used to be swimming in cheap vinyl until relatively recently. Even then, prices were reasonable. Now it's $40 for an LP and shipping nearly doubles the price. I've stopped collecting until prices can be reasonable again. Story 76. Amazon Prime. The subscription fees increased around the same time Bezos sent William Shatner into space. I'm not paying for that shoot. Story 77. This thread bums me out because we all see the problem. But do any of us know how to fix it? Capitalism lives on the premise that you have to keep making more money as a company. But didn't we just all randomly agree to that? Why can't you put a ceiling on it? I'm not trying to be a child here. If we got money out of Washington and we can't, couldn't we fix this shoot? Story 78. Several things, but most recently, A1 steak sauce at $7 for a 10 OZ bottle. Also, a bag of Lay's Funyun flavored potato chips at nearly $6 a bag. Story 79. Beef. I'd add fast food, but I quit that years ago because it's so unhealthy. Concerts, bars, cable TV. Story 80. Nails. Coffee treats like that. A lot of snacks for home, either removed or went off brand, like cereal and chips and stuff like that. Don't go out for things like drinks, hardly restaurants with friends anymore. Just do home visits, hikes, parks, free stuff, lol. Story 81. Energy drinks and sodas. It's day 4 without caffeine and my thighs are aching. I didn't think I'd feel caffeine withdrawal in my thighs. Story 82. Eating out mostly. For the cost of 2 burritos at Costa, you can make 10 burritos for the same price with some leftovers. It costs about an hour, but it's worth it. Story 83. Movies, streaming services, Amazon Prime, anything more than halfway through its enshittification cycle. Movies are still nice on a rare occasion. I don't have the time to make it worth getting streaming services. And I can wait an extra 2 days for packages to arrive. Story 84. I wish I could say our health insurance, it'd eliminate me how much they want to charge me for the privilege of being charged even more when I actually need health care. We use Obamacare, and every year we downgrade a level because the plan we have at the time keeps going way up. This year, our silver plan cost went from $605 to $880. Hello, high deductible, high copay bronze plan. Story 85. Starbucks. It's always been expensive, but with their points program, I could manage a free drink every 10-ish days. And if you're thinking Starbucks is shoot, I say to you, yes, of course it is. But 1, everyone else's espresso drinks are much, much worse. And 2, I leave for work pretty early at Starbucks is usually the only one open. Then they not only kneecap their points system, but raise prices. I don't even know how many times I almost always got the same drink, and within a few months, it just seemed to rise and rise and rise. I'm usually not the kind to spend much time puffing about prices. I make pretty decent money. But Jesus H. Christ, the prices aren't even high anymore. They're just laughable. I can't believe people are even still going. I used to go every work day, but now it's less than once a month. And even then, it's usually if I'm out about and just grabbing something because I'm busy. Story 86. Professional hairstylist services. Went from expensive to fuck you expensive. I can fly to Hawaii for the same price, not exaggerating. Story 87. Beef jerky. Ranges from $15.22 a pack at my local convenience store. Thinking about buying a dehydrator and starting to make my own. Story 88. Live performances. I can't find one play, comedy show, or concert what isn't at least 80 with all the fees. I made only one exception last year to see a favorite comedian who was passing through. Story 89. Stopped going to the movies. I am not paying $20 to sit in uncomfortable chairs surrounded by stupid people on their phones the entire time and sneak eat food I had to smuggle in under a coat like I was bringing Bibles into North Korea because I didn't want to pay another $20 for okay-ish popcorn. Story 90. Literally anything besides basic survival needs. My wife and I are living in a hotel that costs upwards of $600 a week because we have an eviction on our record and can't get into an apartment in our area, and we can't afford to move somewhere else. If it weren't for the shoot-free Wi-Fi here, I would have no way of contacting anyone because I can't afford my phone bill. We're likely going to lose our storage unit with all our stuff in it because we can't afford to pay it. I've been one short paycheck away from homelessness for the past 2 months. We both have jobs and both make $18 an hour. I just want it to end. Story 91. Salon visits and nails. Learned to maintain my own shag cut at home and got a gel set to do my pedicures at home. $50 for a dry haircut every few months and $60 for pretty colored toes just was not worth it anymore. For $120 in supplies, decent hair scissors, and my gel setup, I've been getting salon quality results at home for 2 years now without having to replace much of anything except buying a new gel color acetone every once in a while. Story 92. Consistently highlighting my hair. OMG, I cannot afford it anymore. I just do my roots and quarterly trims. Thank God the lived-in look is in. Story 93. 1. Legit, everything is outrageously expensive. Housing, groceries, gas, social events, restaurants. 2. Quality is poor and often items need replacing much sooner, which also contributes to the waste culture and garbage pollution buildup on Earth, impacting our health negatively. Food portions are also smaller. We are actually paying more money for less product. For some reason, this drives me the most bonkers, and I can't believe companies are getting away with it. I try not to think about it because of the murderous rage it invokes. Story 94. Eating out for lunch in general. Fast food restaurants. You're lucky to get a decent meal for less than 15, and if you go sit down at a small diner, you're lucky to get out of there for less than 20 after tip. Story 95. Lunch meat. I used to love making turkey sandwiches, but now it's just not worth it. Even the cheap jerk store brand turkey is more expensive than steaks now. Story 96. I work at my local hospital as a janitor, and this hospital has a Tim Hortons inside it. I used to buy and eat breakfast every workday before my shift started, which consisted of 1 vanilla ice cap and 2 hash browns for a little over $6. Then inflation hit, and that meal now costs $13, so I stopped buying my breakfast after that. Story 97. Baby bells. I bought them on a whim one time for my toddler. She loved them, so I kept them in stock at home, and we'd eat 2-3 in a sitting. I basically considered them a substitute them for string cheese. One time, I'm in the checkout line and watching things get scanned and see the price come up. I rarely buy any food thing that costs more than $10. So the $14.99 that popped up was like a flashing neon sign. Math break. String cheese family pack is about 0.38 each. Baby bells are a whopping 0.83 each. Cost by weight is 0.38 OZ, 1 Oz sticks, versus 1.1 Dos. I balked at the price and the cashier offered to check it or return the item to the shelf. I knew the kid was waiting at home for them, so I got them anyway. However, baby bells are now a very special, very rare treat in our house. God forbid you ask for one and fail to finish it too. Story 98. Gym supplementers. The price of pre-workout for X-Apple increased by 2x within 1 month, from 15 to 30. Story 99. Cable TV. When Extreme Basic Cable in my area crested $125 per month, it just wasn't worth it anymore. Story 100. Live sports. I ditched cable nearly a decade ago, replacing with PS View for football and basketball season. That went away, so I started using YouTube TV, but prices got out of control. I eventually said screw it and just cut those sports mostly out of my life. At most, maybe I'll get 1 month for March Madness, but that's it. Until a couple weeks ago, I'd been enjoying a ton of bike races via the GCN app for $50 a year. But now that's going away and being replayed with a massively more expensive sports tier on Max. Weighing my options and keeping an eye out for how I might be able to access via VPN. Sounds like even that has dried up. Need a credit card based in Europe to get Eurosports. Story 101. Getting my nails done. It used to be something I treated myself with, but now I can't justify the expense. I'll just do them at home. Even basic foods are expensive. I coupon a lot of my toiletries and things like paper towels, toilet paper, makeup. Story 102. Not a thing, but a service. Food delivery apps. I deleted Grubhub, Uber Eats, and some other apps after my meals for a single person started pushing 30. Story 103. I finally dropped the NFL package this year. I love my team, but $350 to watch a few football games was too much. Story 104. Canned Diet Coke. I haven't seen a 12 PK under $7.50 in a while now, with the average being closer to 10. Pre-COVID, we often had buy 2 get 3 free deals that made it about 2.50 case. I tried Pepsi, but it's just kind of gross, like flat Coke and sickly sweet. I get a 2-liter of Coke here and there and just stretch it a bit more. It's my only vice, so I'm not keen to scrap it entirely. Story 105. Thanks everyone for helping me reinforce my New Year's resolution to cut out Chipotle fast food in general, junk food potato chips. Not that I was big on junk food. I have a craving every so often, but I notice there's more air and less food. Espresso lattes. Drip coffee is still cheaper in general, but yeah, nothing fancy for me anymore. Streaming instead, I will continue. Making my copycat Chipotle bowls. I get 5 servings for $5. Cooking. But groceries is still expensive, AF, so I don't know what difference it makes. Start making my coffee from home, reading books for free from the library. Also, the Hoopla app has free movies you can rent. I used to do all of these things in my teens up to my mid-20s because I was broke. I need to return to the minimalism of my younger age. Story 106. Getting my hair colored at a salon. I was paying $150 plus tip every 6 weeks for a cut color. In a smaller metropolitan area 3 years ago. Was diagnosed with cancer in the meantime, did chemo and lost all my hair. Am in remission now, and when my hair was finally long enough to start needing regular cuts again, $45 for a cut was like a breath of fresh air. Now I rock my natural color, and I have extra money in my pocket. Story 107. Getting my nails hair done. I'd love to do it as a form of self-care. I just can't justify the price anymore. Story 108. Nails. Went 5 years with them done. My one self-care, me time. But it's not only more expensive now, but harder to get in and out of an appointment quickly. I bite my nails again and dislike it because of the look and the germy habit. But it is what it is. Story 109. Date night at our favorite steakhouse. We checked prices online to buy a gift card for my brother-in-law, as we haven't been in a long time. The steak my husband used to get is now $150. That's just his meal, not counting appetizers, drinks, my meal or dessert. I mean WTF. That steak was about $60 pre-pandemic. The restaurant is still super packed. I mean, how? We make a good living and can't afford that. Where are all these people getting that kind of money? Story 110. Soda. I could, but it seems wrong to pay so much. I was used to 4 12-packs for 11 or 12, and now they want 8 for 1 12-pack. No thanks. Story 111. Acrylic nails. I've taught myself how to do my own nails because I was spending $80 to $120 a month just on a set. Story 112. Also house cleaning. I just pretend when I clean instead that I'm paying myself $300 versus paying someone else who 90% of the time doesn't do it right anyways, and I have to go back over their work. Story 113. Going to take this moment to give love to Costco and their price for dog and a drink. The price hasn't changed in over 25 years that I've enjoyed it. Saw me through some dark financial times during divorce long ago. Story 114. Getting highlights. With haircut, toner, and highlights, and tip, even though it's the owner working on my hair. I'm looking at almost $400. Nah, just let the grays take over. Story 115. Fast food. The price has increased, but the taste quality has not. It's no longer worth the cost charged. A cheap meal that does not taste all that great was more acceptable than an expensive one. Story 116. Highlights, nails, fancy makeup. Went from Substance's store and box dye to salon back to Substance's store. Story 117. Soda. I buy family-sized tea bags by the case for less than $20 and keep a gallon pitcher of sweet tea and another of unsweetened tea in the fridge at all times. I printed giant stickers of a smiling iced tea and a serious-faced iced tea and stuck them to the pitchers to tell them apart. Any food delivery, inflated prices, service fees, tips, fudge that. If I really want takeout, I'll go pick it up my darn self. Chain fast food. Pricing is out of control as compared to the quality. If I am going to order it, I'll use the company's app, which can usually help mitigate a bit, but even that is rare AF. Otherwise, if I'm really wanting a fast food burger, there's a really good local option I'll visit instead. It's still a little pricey, but the quality is so much better. Cigarettes. I'll still pick up a pack before a camping trip because there's something about sitting by a campfire and having a few drinks that still triggers massive cravings. But otherwise, way too expensive to be a regular habit. Story 118. Vans skate shoes. Legit wore Vans exclusively for 10 years. Always held up and took the beatings from skating and walking and running and playing basketball. And I had one pair that I got in 2015 that didn't need to be retired until 2022. I got a new pair to replace these in the winter of 2022. The foxing, rubber runs along the sides that hold the sole to the canvas, started peeling after a month, and the sole straight up popped out after 9 months. I took really good care of these Vans too. Didn't skate, run, play ball, nothing. Basically just sat in my house in them or wore them to Walmart. I have owned close to 50 pairs of Vans from 2009 today, and this was the only time I've ever had a pair give up that fast. I've completely converted to boots because why wouldn't I pay $50 more for a shoe that's A, not going to give up immediately, withstand the beatings that they advertise they're built for? Story 119. Concert and athletic event tickets. Manicures and pedicures on a regular basis. Steak. A night at the movie theater with snacks from concessions. Story 120. Acrylic nails. Prices just got too wild for my wife and me to both get them. Having to get 2 sets made prices increases twice as painful. Story 121. Haircuts. I started trimming in earnest during the pandemic, and it's an easy way to add $20 to the food budget each month and slid nicely into nail management. Story 122. Newest model iPhone. I used to always have the newest model. I just recently upgraded to the 14 only because the speaker broke on my 12 and it was cheaper to just buy the 14 than pay to fix the speaker, even with insurance. I was perfectly fine with my 12 though. Story 123. Delivery pizza and fast food in general. I mean, I haven't come to a screeching halt, but I've cut way back. It's fine because it's healthier not getting it, and I need to lose some lbs. Story 124. Having acrylic nails done at a salon used to be like 25 every 2 weeks. Now you're lucky to get out of there under 50, 60. Not worth it anymore. Story 125. Ice cream. Used to love riding my bike down to the DQ and getting a 3 blizzard. Now it's like 4 for a size smaller. No thanks. Story 126. Getting acrylics. Don't get me wrong. I know the person deserves money and a livable wage, but I just can't see myself spending 50 plus for a regular set of nails with no extras every 2 weeks. Instead, I learned how to do it on my own. Story 127. The fees are my issue. I don't mind that bands artists are charging more to recoup some money since most people aren't paying much or anything for their recorded material. The fees need to be governed, though, because they're currently predatory. Story 128. Getting food delivered, especially if using Grubhub is the only option. Not only do they gouge you with the fees, but the price of food is inflated when compared to the restaurant menu. Story 129. Fast food takeaway. It's not that it's too expensive, it's just more expensive than it's worth now. Also, cutting it all out was one of the best things I've done for myself in years. Story 130. I've downgraded from sports like professional football and basketball and decided to go and watch the local high school and college games. At least that's supporting the local school sport programs. Story 131. Mine is another restaurant. It's called Crushed Red. Not quite fast food, but you order at the counter. Since the pandemic, it costs about $80 for 2 salads, 2 iced teas, serve yourself, and a smallish pizza to split between 2 people. The produce is fresh, but dear God, we swore it off once it got that high. Story 132. Contact lenses. I have a strong astigmatism, and the daily lenses are so expensive in the country I live in. It's just not practical anymore. So glasses it is. Story 133. Food snacks at the movie theater. Hell, movies in general. I know someone who makes a lot more money than me does the math and it adds up for them, but I feel like they'd sell more candy, 4 EA versus 8 EA, especially when Dollar General has it for 1.25. Story 134. A pizza joint in my area called the Megabyte. Our normal order at the beginning of the pandemic was 38. Our last time we ordered the same thing about a year ago, it came to 64 plus tip. We agreed to not eat there anymore until our household income goes from $200K a year to $225K. Story 135. Dry shampoo. The can I typically bought has gone from like 9 to 16 in just a few years. I'll just wash my hair more as much as I dislike to. Story 136. I spent my 20s and 30s at every concert imaginable because I worked in the business and got comped all the time. Now I can't afford to see any of my faves. Any live show is pretty much out of the range of my budget. I just enjoy the memories now. Story 137. Soda. It's ridiculous that it's become so expensive, but we completely cut it out of our lives because it's just too much. 2 12-packs or another dinner for the week is an easy choice. Story 138. Juice. I loved orange juice with my breakfast, but it goes so fast with 5 people in the house that it's only purchased as a treat now. Story 139. Pine nuts. I used to add tons of the stuff to pasta dishes and loved it. So expensive now, it's usually kept behind the counter. Story 140. King crab legs. Used to buy them all the time at 10-15, but during the pandemic, they rocketed up as high as 50 salom and have only come down marginally to about 25 or 30 sovereigns. They're one of my favorite foods in the world, but not at that price. Story 141. Haircuts and dye. I have very long hair, so I always get hella upcharged, which is fine, but I just can't fork over the cash anymore. Now I cut and dye my own hair, and it's not perfect, but it saves me literally $300 every time. Story 142. Same concert tickets and comedy show tickets. I remember seeing comedy shows with Joe Coy and Bobby Lee, etc. for $25 in Irvine. Those days are long over. I remember seeing Jason Aldean at Pachanga Casino for $50. I'm only 38. I miss going to see shows. Now for good seats, nothing less than $150. Story 143. Massages. I haven't completely given them up, but now I go maybe twice a year at the most. When I started getting massages about 20 years ago, I could find a 1 hour for 50, 60 easily. Now, even at the small town spa, I usually go to a 1 hour session plus tip can run up to 100. That's just a basic massage. If you want something more specialized like deep tissue or hot stone, it's going to cost more. For context, I live in the Midwest where things are generally cheaper. I have issues with my upper back in particular and used to be able to go monthly. But between rising costs and time constraints, I can't justify going that much. Story 144. Costco. In Canada, Costco is responsible for encouraging overconsumption and thus creating pressure on middle-class family budgets who mistakenly think they are getting a deal. I've started going to Walmart for my groceries instead. Much, much better value. Story 145. Not even specifically because it's too expensive, but I just see it as an unnecessary expenses having cream. Honestly, if you use body wash and are careful, it's just as effective. Story 146. COVID seemed to create an excuse for many restaurant chains to lower the quality and raise the prices. Polo Loco now didn't have a salsa bar, McDonald's sandwiches are pricey and smaller, and Carl's Jr. charges ridiculous prices. Story 147. Subscriptions. Everything is a subscription now. Soon it will be cars and homes, then we're done. And I don't think we're that far away from subscribing for everything. Furniture, clothing, everything you own now will be a subscription pretty soon. Maybe next 10, 20 years. When that happens, it's over. I mean, when citizens own nothing, they have no power. The elites won the game. Imagine you pay a subscription for clothing. The subscription fee allows you to shop for new items once a month. It would be limited and there would be various subscription levels, but you just pay a monthly fee and just get free clothes. This will be a thing soon. Story 148. IKEA? Not even kidding, they are far too expensive for their own good. Those 2x2 storage cabinets, they used to be $20. They are now $50, $90 depending on what material in the shelving. Only reason I still go there is because I know how to get the guys in the as-is section to mark shoot down to like $15 for things. Story 149. I hesitate to buy just about anything that requires a tip in advance of a service, DoorDash, or for something like drive-through coffee, Starbucks. Demands for tips have gotten to insane levels and take away my desire to buy from places that ask for tips where they never did before. Story 150. Eating out. If it's not 40 for 2 burgers and fries at a fast food place, it's 60 at the local Mexican restaurant before tip and the healthcare inflation, just because surcharge. Story 151. When they started attaching those theft-proof electronic gadgets to my favorite toothpaste. Now it's 10 for a small, 5-long tube with the girth of a cigar. Story 152. I haven't stopped 1 or 2 things, but I'm about to cut out a lot this year. I've been off work for a month and living off credit cards until Unum kicks in. I'm not going to be paying for anything new in 2024. I'll still be paying for 23. Story 153. Same-day lift tickets at any major resort. Lots of planning needed now and can't jump on a powder day without a pass. Story 154. Literally darn near everything. It's as hard even going to the grocery store because I look at something and put it down. Because it's too expensive, can't even buy a thing of turkey without it being like $10. Story 155. Beef. Honestly, the price of beef versus pork is a bit ridiculous down under, so I have just replaced beef with pork for everything. Story 156. Truth, cereal, 8 a box? I don't buy socks as much either. I believe there has been price gouging by the collective that is the grocery industry. Story 157. Streaming, it's too many of them and too expensive. I now wait until a series I want to see has concluded its season and get the service for a month. Story 158. This is why I refuse to have kids. 1, I can't afford to give them the life they deserve. 2, the world is fudge and isn't going to get better anytime soon. Story 159. Brisket. It used to be a cheap way to feed a lot of people or something you could portion up and freeze after you smoked it and eat on for a month. Now it's a luxury good. Story 160. Getting my nails done. When I was in college, I could afford to get acrylics, showing my age, and pedicure every 2 to 3 weeks. It was around 45 to have both done. Now, a pedicure alone is over 75 with tip. I just can't. Story 161. Things got so expensive and the quality dropped so badly on most every product because people accepted the shoot product that the market was producing without any consequence. Had the consumers immediately balked at the crap the market put out at the higher prices, there might have been a shift. I dislike that clothing is disposable. I long for the days of jeans that aren't made with spandex. I long for the days of leather shoes. I still own a pair of Baswegian penny loafers I got for Christmas when I was 10th. They've been resold once, and they're still amazing. I have an LL Bean backpack with a heavy leather bottom. My mom got me when I started college nearly 30 years ago, still hanging in there like a champagne. LL Bean doesn't make them anymore. I refuse to let go of any of those things. If I find a pair of jeans without spandex in them, I buy them in every color and style I can find. I will pay through the nose for a good quality sweater, jacket, blouse, whatever, but refuse to pay $39.9959.99 for disposable AE, Abercrombie, Gap, Banana Republic, whatever name brand bullshit is on the market today that I will wash twice and it will disintegrate in the washer or will lose its shape. I refuse to pay $100 for shoes that are going to fall apart within 6 months. I used to pay in the thousands for a great handbag. And when I tell you that I have a closet full of them, they're all vintage by today's standards because you can't get them made that way any longer. Coach Boston to make fabulous heavy, thick leather handbags classic. Beautiful bags. Have 3 of them, different colors, and an attached case because they don't make them the same way anymore. Have a closet full of vintage, good, classic bags you can't find anymore. Won't buy bags, rarely buy shoes, hard to buy clothes. Let's not even get started on the scam that is sizing of women's clothes. Then there's technology. It's made to be replaced. Washing machines, refrigerators, TVs, computers, phones, they're all made to be replaced in 3 to 5 years. Same with cars. Doesn't matter how well maintained they are, they're made to fail, and we're all so addicted to technology, we're stuck in that loop. Have to do laundry, need to store food. Most of us need to drive to work and to the grocery store. You're darn if you do, darn if you don't. We've embraced convenience shopping instead of making our own decisions and doing our own dirty work, whether out of necessity or convenience. COVID really fudged us in more ways than we will ever realize. At what point do you stop paying for that convenience? I'm not bashing capitalism. I think capitalism is great, but we, the consumers, are fools, and we've been taken advantage of for far too long. Food, clothing, technology. We fudge ourselves into a corner. We've accepted shoot for a higher premium for far too long, and the market is far too happy to provide it to us. So how do we fix it? Answer: we have to make quality and craftsmanship important to purchasing decisions again, especially with prices these days. Replace your battery, not your phone, etc. I live in a 100-year-old house that is better constructed than anything built today. I buy real wood, mostly Amish-made furniture that is way cheaper and better than anything sold at Pottery Barn. It can be done. People need to value quality over quantity again. Story 162. Haircuts paying $60 minimum before tip just to have my ends trimmed is ridiculous. Then they try to hound you with buying their products and getting services you don't want or need. Story 163. I can no longer buy the bull hit coming from politicians. Their decisions are too reckless and expensive for the country. Story 164. Magic the Gathering cards. To be successful in tournaments just at a store level means an investment of 500%. Story 165. My parents stopped buying real Christmas trees because they were becoming so expensive. They ended up buying a fake one we've been reusing for 20 years now. Story 166. Restaurants rotate out for me. Five Guys is insanely expensive for what it is. Same with Subway, Panera Bread, and Chipotle. Seems like the only place I consistently feel like I get value is Chick-fil-A and Cava. Story 167. Food. My kids were a bit bummed, but after a month, they stopped whining. In fact, I haven't seen them for a week. Must be a good nap. Story 168. Restaurant food, it's not even very good, so I don't miss it. I also don't like all the tip pressure. If I don't do my job well, then I won't have a job. I feel like all professions should have that standard. Also, a tip before the transaction is complete is more of a bribe. Story 169. Golf trips. Non-member green fees have almost doubled, and new member initiation fees have quintupled. Story 170. Lamb. All meats became more expensive during the foot and mouth outbreak. Only lamb stayed expensive. It's now a Christmas-only roast when it's on offer. Story 171. I don't cook at home, As much BC, it costs so much more than cheap takeout. I could probably make grilled cheese or something cheaper, but the takeout tastes better and isn't probably that much worse than the crap I'd make using cheap stuff, so isn't worth the time to make something inferior. Story 172. Meat in general. I don't keep it around my home much. I'll buy some fish here and there, but the cost just doesn't justify the benefit. Story 173. I've cut way back on fast food and Starbucks. Moving to Germany with less fast food nearby and more small cafes diners makes it easier. Starbucks here is like $8-9 fudge dollars, and the drinks are smaller. The food items taste like plastic, and my favorite drinks, frappes, have a different flavorless recipe. On the plus side, I can get a decent full-size bottle of red wine for like $3. Story 174. Sweets, candy, wine gums, especially the name brand stuff like Haribo. Love them, no question, but they are, even on discount, $1.29 per bag. I easily eat the entire bag in a single evening. That's too expensive for that. So I don't buy any candy anymore. No sweets or anything. Waste of money at this point. Story 175. With the state of the economy, I've stopped buying coffee every morning. Also being fat, more conscious of food items at the supermarket, and have started shopping at the budget supermarket and buying off-brand alternatives to most things. Story 176. There is supply and demand, and there is normal increases, but I swear prices on almost everything have gotten egregious. Fast food prices are insane, but if I go to the store and buy my own food, it's equally insane, which makes no sense given the decreasing ingredient quality and product sizes. Story 177. Getting my nails done, the upkeep is too much. I dislike spending money on things that are so temporary. Story 178. MAC Cosmetics. I was a happy customer for many years as they had an excellent policy of recycling old plastic product if you brought back 6 pieces and then discounting from a new purchase. Regrettably, not only did they discontinue that, but they also shut down around 4 brick-and-mortar locations in my metro area. I suppose I will order a small something online here and then in future, but it really has become too expensive. Story 179. Cigarettes. I'm glad I quit, but sometimes I wish I could spark a cig and smoke like I did back in the 90s. Story 180. Sadly, everyday food items like fruits and avocados. I only buy fruits for my toddler now. For mid-range items, new Lululemon workout clothes. Because chasing a toddler is already a full-on workout. I do my own mani and pedi now, so I learned to take care of my nails at the same time. Gel mania are getting expensive to maintain, and when they file down the gel, my nails get so thin. Higher range, brand new designer shoes accessories. Prices have gone mad. I hunt for barely worn or pre-loved items. Story 181. Movie theater tickets. Used to be able to take my wife to a movie night, but now with popcorn and a drink, we are pushing $4,500. At our income level, it's now Redbox and Orville Redenbacher. Story 182. Scallops, especially sea scallops, to cook at home. It's become cheaper to just get them as part of a combo in restaurants. Story 183. Chips Ahoy, cookies. My fave cookies for decades. But now it's like I have to plan them into my expenses. Story 184. Streaming services. I was cutting costs this fall and realized the amount I was paying for cable and Hulu, Netflix, Disney, Paramount Plus, Peacock, Max, etc. was so much more expensive than I had signed up for. Cut a few and found deals through my T-Mobile for one, got a student discount on Hulu and went to Netflix with ads. Still paying too much for cable, but I want ESPN for now. Story 185. This is the first year I stopped driving my truck unless it's a bad snowstorm. I just take the wife's car. Story 186. Haircuts. My SO cut is it once in a while, and I do it myself. And festival tickets. Nearly $400 to set my tent in the mud for 3 nights? Get out. And that is without food, drinks, even water. Story 187. Cigarettes. In my country, the government puts a shitload of tax on cigarettes to pay for the hospital treatment. I understand cigarettes are bad. Story 188. I stopped getting my nails done. Restaurants, I only go to about once a month now. Fast food, almost never. I dumped ATT and signed up with a low-cost carrier. I get the exact same service for a fraction of the price. I only upgrade my cell phone, tablet, laptop when they are on their last legs. I make coffee at home and only get coffee out like 3-4 times a year. Story 189. Takeout and fast food. A week and a half of groceries is $70 to $120, and that provides 3 meals per day, both my wife and myself. Ordering takeout or fast food is $30 minimum, but more like $50. Yeah, just know. Story 190, Bovril. I used to love Bovril on toast, but it's nearly $5 a jar now, and I'm the only one who likes it, so it's not worth buying. I miss my umami goodness. Story 191. Pop, I love a good Diet Pepsi, but 7 Canadian Freedom Loonies. A 12-pack just isn't something I want to do. Story 192. I make my own box pizza or go to the deli at the grocery store and buy plain pre-made pizzas. They also sell pepperoni in bulk, so I use that. Story 193. Switch to Diet Pepsi instead of Coke. Zero BC Coke got so expensive. Now trying to switch to water, because even though it's cheaper, Pepsi has climbed a lot too. Story 194. Buffalo wings. Over the last year, I've switched completely over to chicken thighs at home, since you get about twice the meat for half the price, as chicken wings. And when I go out, hell nah, I'm not paying $1 a wing or more. Story 195. Tic Tacs. They raised the price by 3.48 to 3.98 at Walmart, and I just can't justify that in my mind anymore. Story 196. Contact lenses. Everything else is so expensive that there isn't room in the budget anymore. I get my prescription at the eye doctor and buy glasses on Zenni now. Story 197. Back in the 70s, you could see 3 great bands for about $15. Example, Jethro Tull, Robin Trower, and Todd Rundgren. Arrowhead Stadium in KC. Mo. I remember parts of it. They set up a large video board and called it Television. True story. Story 198. Big 2 Marvel and DC comics. When I started reading, books were like $2.99 an issue. Now they are $4.99, $6.99. or even $9.99 an issue. The stories have to be fantastic for me to want to spend that kind of money, and most of the time they are not. So my purchasing went down and down every month to the point where I follow one ongoing from Image, Ice Cream Man, and random miniseries I like. I do still get 2000 AD and Judge Dredd magazine mailed to the States. Not every story is a banger, but I prefer the format and find there are at least more interesting ideas in general, even if I'm not always into the execution. Story 199. Doing my nails. Like, why spend 25 tip for a basic manicure when I can do it at home for way cheaper? Once you buy everything you need, you can do your nails at home for weeks for free. Story 200. Any fast food at full price. I know no one likes food apps, but most of my fast food ordering apps, if they don't have any decent coupons, McDonald's BOGO burgers, for example, I just don't order from there. It's kind of a good deterrent too. Fast food is insanely expensive now, but this helps. Story 201. Cigarettes and concert tickets. I needed to quit smoking either way, and when they made it more expensive than real substances, I just said fudge it, concert tickets. Fuck it, YouTube is free. I'd love to still be going to concerts, but the prices are ridiculous. Local spots are the best, most affordable places to see bands. Story 202. I didn't stop, but I buy it less often. Soda. I used to buy 1-liter Diet Coke or Pepsi all the time, but it's ridiculously expensive now. $3.99 for 1 bottle at my local Quick Stop. I remember just a few years ago that was regularly $0.99, like WTF. Story 203. I only get adult beverage and coffee out in 2 spots now because I work for one and share building space with the other. The comps and deep discount are the only way I could even think of justifying it or affording it now. Story 204. Dr. Pepper. I used to drink a can a day. I don't drink a lot of sugary things aside from that, and I mostly drink tap water all day aside from that, but they've gone from 412-pack before the pandemic to now nearly twice that. It was $7.49 for one the other day, and I stopped buying them when they got up to $6. Now it's just a once in a while, when I happen to eat out, maybe twice a month, treat. And that sucks, because I freaking loved my daily Dr. Pepper. And it's not really even so much that I can't afford the cost. Even now, that's only like 24 MO. But why the hell should I have to spend that darn much on freaking caffeinated sugar water? Story 205. Technology, because it relies on the enslavement and murder of Congolese men, women, and children. Right after the screen of my phone cracked. Story 206. Comic books. Used to be a regular Wednesday warrior for decades. The price gradually went up over time, and then Brexit hit, in the UK, and they jumped significantly over a year or so. Add in overall fatigue with big events and a gradual shift to collected editions, and I had many solid reasons to get out of a very expensive habit. I miss the camaraderie of my LCS, but can't argue with saving $150 each month, or with the peace of mind I've got from not having dozens of short boxes cluttering up the house. Story 207. The last time I went to a concert, tickets were $12.75 plus a one service fee. When Elton John came to my area, a ticket in the balcony was $1,200. Story 208, fast food. You might as well go out to a restaurant and get a decent meal with no appetizers or dessert for the same price. Story 209, plane tickets, tiny seats, kiarp for food. If you get any in long lines, I'd rather drive from Arizona to Alabama to visit my sister. Not to mention, it takes me an hour just to get to the airport. Story 210. Nest and Wise camera subscriptions. Wasn't getting much value out of them. Looking for home assistant, compatible devices if anyone has recommendations. Story 211. Car. I live in Chicago and basically bike anywhere I go all year. There's public transport here too. Story 212. Going to the movie theater. It costs like $80 where I live for a ticket and snacks from concession. It's wild. Story 213. Hair, nails, massages. I could barely afford it when I worked at a spa with discounts, and I sure as hell can't justify the cost now. Story 214. New clothes, I can't afford it. Just can't. I've not had any real new clothes in 2 years. If I get something new, it's a gift. Story 215. Single malt scotch. When I moved across the country a few years ago, I gave a friend a bunch of open bottles because I couldn't really ship the open ones. I knew they'd gone up in price, but between that and the much higher liquor prices where I am, it would cost more than 4 plates as much to replace most of those, and I just can't do it. At least my buddy really enjoyed them. Story 216. Potato chips. Most aren't worth the price. I do still buy tortilla chips, but mostly stick to popcorn for a crunchy snack. Soda is next if I could fully eliminate adult beverage, but I enjoy the occasional drink. Story 217. Men's haircuts. I know. Women's haircuts have always been expensive, but pre-pandemic, I would pay about $15. Now it is about $35. I've decided that the next time I need a haircut, I'm just shaving it all off instead. Story 218. Cigarettes, Starbucks. Since I've quit smoking, I've not spent roughly 50,000 USD on cigarettes and 28,000 USD on coffee. Holy shoot. Story 219. Cigars. Went from being a now and then thing to like 5 or 6 a day, averaging from $8-12 each. Stupid. Story 220. Cans of pop. It's something like 8-9 for 12 cans now. You used to be able to get them 4 cases for 10. I'll grab a bottle or even a 2-liter if I'm really feeling it, but I basically only buy cans for holidays now. That's it for this video. Don't forget to support Vancher and my second channel, Vanchus. See you soon.